It's that time of year. Why is Vlogmas all over our feeds again? To answer that question, we have to dive back a little bit. Vlogmas originated in 2011, and since then, it's grown into what feels like an annual takeover, especially here on YouTube, with creators from all different channels posting their vlogs. So, for those who don't know what Vlogmas is, it's essentially doing a vlog a day up until Christmas. So, a bit like an advent calendar, having 24 or sometimes even 25 typically full length videos. Now, I have some theories as to why it's so widespread and popular, at least in the creation space. And I'm going to share some of those views as to why it's still done, how it became popular, and a few different flavours in which it started to appear, and really break this down. So, before I really start, this is not a criticism of creators who do Vlogmas, and to be honest, I may even do it in the future. It's more of observations and understanding of where it's come from. And obviously, a bit of a theme jumper. So let's start with some warm, fuzzy reasons as to why Vlogmas is what it is. So people generally really love a festive spirit that they can get excited about, especially in long winter months. And it does create a community. But without meaning to be a Scrooge, I don't think all creators do it solely for the purpose of community. So yes, some might do it for the creative spirit, but there might be other incentives. One other thing creators might use it for is it gives a lot of themes and ideas. Creators who have made hundreds of videos often talk about a feeling of burnout, maybe potentially feeling a bit uninspired. And nowadays, very to have think tanks come up with ideas or put polls out to their audience. Vlogmas is a great way to put out themed content, and often you see that a lot of content is recycled and used year over year. And within that, it's seasonal content, which you can probably assume is going to do fairly well as people are looking for things like gift ideas or those key terms are being searched. So it generates traffic more than potentially a completely untested idea might. Or does it? So let's think about this a bit analytically. Yes, it's kind of warm, fuzzy season. The days are shorter, and at least in the Northern Hemisphere, and people are maybe spending more time indoors watching. So perhaps there is more watch time and there's more people looking for videos. But theoretically, to have more watch time, it's nice to be more than the videos being made. Now, let's say that most large creators make one video a week. To be honest, something that even do that nowadays. And during this period, they each make a video every day. That goes from making 3 videos, generously 4 in the run up to Christmas, to 24. That's 8 times the amount of videos. I find it hard to justify that there'll be 8 times the amount of watch time going on during this period. You're basically saying that you need a significant increase in people or a significant increase in the amount of time they're watching. And yes, the days are shorter, but I'm not sure they're that much shorter. So this brings me to potentially the slightly more sinister side of Vlogmas and some of the commercialisation of it. And unsurprisingly, it all comes back to money. Commercialisation of holidays is not new. This is not, again, a criticism to any creator, it's just kind of observation of where we are. But I think it's now relatively common knowledge that the amount of money you get per a certain amount of clicks or views on your video is increased during the holiday season. And this is generally because advertisers will pay more for slots, as they're generally getting more sales because it's the holiday season and people are buying presents for each other. And it's not only the ads that will give creators more money. Often there's more sponsorships going around. And these are people, again, selling to people that are buying for the holiday season. So if you, for example, get approached by, let's say, 10 sponsors and you'd only be making one video ordinarily, you're not going to be able to make all that content. Whereas doing Vlogmas and doing a video every day means you can make a lot more content. Now, again, creators have to live. It's part of what they do. And also, let's be realistic. Some of these items are genuinely items that would use and make your life better. Some of them aren't. But we've essentially now got a triple threat as to why it's become so popular and done so well. It creates a sense of community and can bring more viewers in. It gives creators ideas and it generates more money. Now, this is where I want to explore some of the factors that we're beginning to see starting challenging Vlogmas and its continuation. So creators, particularly OG ones that have been on the internet for a long time, are starting to become more conscious of their influence and how they promote themselves and their brand, as sometimes being seen as doing a lot of sponsorships or kind of quote unquote money grabbing and taking sponsorships of things you don't really believe in can really harm your relationship with your audience and future growth. So there will always be some new creators that help fill in that gap, but I think as a whole we're starting to see people become much more conscious of their brands and what they're doing, particularly for channels that put a name to a face. This doesn't really apply for the likes of like kids channels that are advertising toys, They generally haven't seemed to have changed much, but brand matters more now on YouTube. You've also seen some alternatives around doing Vlogmas, and a couple of these I think are really interesting are things like Vlognaco, which is popularised by Hannah Witten, which is videos in the run up to Hanukkah. So it's less videos, but it's also on a holiday that's specific to her and what she celebrates. You also see some creators starting to do daily videos up to a launch, which isn't necessarily Christmas, and potentially launching their own content. So, for example, Sane Le Vagabond, I think, did a daily vlogs up to the launch of their app See People. So I think creators are starting to pull away from always doing Vlogmas and potentially doing it either in a run up to their own personal holidays or in a run up to products that they want to launch rather than around a commercial holiday. Now, another big change in format that we're seeing is shorts. This has really come from like the age of TikTok, but I think last year, maybe the year before, we started to saw the hashtag of shortmas arise. This is essentially doing the same as Vlogmas, but only doing in shorts. Instead of having 5, 10, 15-minute videos, which are quite time intensive to create, you're creating 60-second shorts, which often leap on trends, and still allow creators to do content and sponsorships, but not in the same intensive way. So a lot of creators are doing that. And one of the reasons why they're starting to do that is, frankly, burnout. Towards the end of the year, putting a crush to produce around a season, which is hard with daylight hours, but also can be quite hard to spend time with family, can be really tough and can lead to burnout in the new year. And everyone's heard of Blue January. So I think a lot of creators are taking their own wellness into their own hands and taking the foot off the gas a little bit in areas where potentially they don't prioritize anymore because they'd rather longevity over short-term gain of doing things like Vlogmas. Finally, one thing that might completely change Vlogmas, but I don't think has yet, is algorithms. Now, this isn't to say that Vlogmas content can't be evergreen. You often do find things like gift ideas will have returning views and seasonality to them. But a lot of the Vlogmas, which is more just around lifestyle content, is the kind of video where you have a peak at the front and then it really levels off. Now, I'm not saying algorithms are doing this yet, but there has been some speculation that algorithms might move in the long form towards evergreen content, and particularly for small creators. You find that some videos might take off, but actually evergreen content is how they begin to start to build an audience. People return to them, for example, how to create something. So potentially there will be that incentive to create higher quality videos over lower quality but high volume. Not to say that all Vlogmas things are low quality, just that sometimes they can be a bit more, let's just churn them out rather than think about the meshing that sits behind them. So where does this leave us? The point of this is not to say Vlogmas is good, Vlogmas is bad, this is what I'm doing, this is what you should be doing, or any kind of instruction in that way. It's really to provide a perspective and a few different drivers that might be happening behind the Vlogmas trend and where it might be heading in the future, particularly as it's now beginning to flood your feed as we are in Vlogmas season. So if you're a creator and you're inspired to make this content and still want to, do it. If you're a viewer and you love to consume that content, do it, enjoy it. It's all around what you're going to find value in. But I think we also need to be a little bit more conscious in terms of what we're consuming and maybe the drivers behind that, but also as creators, we always need to be a little bit mindful of what we're creating. And I think being informed as both a consumer and a creator is probably going to do better for you in terms of what you spend your time doing, but also will help benefit you in terms of your mental health and decisions you're making, particularly around what is often quite a busy season for a lot of people. So I kind of want to hear what your thoughts are on Vlogmas. You might completely disagree with what I'm saying. You might completely agree. You might see some sides. It's interesting to start the debate on where you think this Vlogmas has come from and where you think it's going. As for me, I am not doing Vlogmas this year. I have yet to do one, so maybe there's a little bit of criticism in here. Currently, just with my time and the priorities I haven't done one. But let's see what happens in the future, because realistically, I'm not saying I won't ever. It's just not on the cards for me right now. But hopefully you enjoyed this and maybe subscribe to see if in the future I do a Vlogmas or a Shortmas, and wouldn't mind checking out some of my other videos, which are not all about Vlogmas, just to confirm. See you in the next video.